business. Emily is joining us now for the press review. Millions of adults heading back to school today, or heading back to work today, like me, and millions of children are heading to school today. What are the papers saying about it then, Emily?
Well, it's la rentrée, the first day back at school after the summer holidays, and it's on most of the French front pages, but all with slightly different takes. So I'll talk you through them. This is Libération. They're celebrating state schools on the front page there. The paper features interviews with teachers who defend, quotes, an institution that is mistreated by the French authorities. According to Libé, 80% of students go to a state school, but they are struggling after being pushed around by 5 education ministers in just 2 years. Le Monde is looking at some of the reasons why schools are struggling, be it lack of teachers, overcrowded classes or insufficient funding. The Parisien is looking at what that insufficient funding leads to, the temptation of the private schools, that's what it says on their headlines. They discuss the increasing number of parents going to private schools for the upcoming school year. Now, La Croix, meanwhile, is discussing a new rule that about 3.4 middle school students are going to have to respect, and that's the phone pause policy announced by Education Minister Elisabeth Borne. Students now will have to leave their phones in boxes or lockers during their lessons. Now, the paper argues that teenagers should be taught how to use their phones in a healthy way in order to understand why time away from them is so important. Finally, Les Echos is reporting that although most students are going to school today, some are going to have to wait until tomorrow to go back to school because 10 departments are on orange alert for rain and floods, and the schools are remaining shut, and so they'll have to wait until tomorrow for their first day back. I'm sure they're very happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure they're really disappointed. Yes, I think slightly happy probably. There are also a number of blacked out front pages today. Tell us about that.
Well, hundreds of publications are blacking out their front pages today. This is, for example, the Lebanese paper L'Orient Le Jour, a full black front page. L'Humanité here in France, a similar theme, but they've got this message on there: at the rate journalists are being killed in Gaza by the Israeli army, there will be no one left to keep you informed. The paper features a long interview with Massa Husseini, one of the few journalists left in Gaza. She says it's a question of time before she is added to the list of over 200 journalists who have been killed in Gaza so far. And there's something similar happening in Spain with Info Libre. They have this pop-up message that comes up when you visit their website, same message as on L'Humanité: at the rate journalists are being killed, there will soon be no one left. And all of these are part of a campaign by Reporters Without Borders here to protest the killing of journalists in Gaza. Over 250 media outlets in 70 different countries will be blacking out their front pages and broadcasting programs. And now newsrooms are demanding an end to impunity for Israeli crimes against reporters and the evacuation of reporters trying to leave, as well that foreign press be let in. But apart from the Reporters Without Borders campaign, there's another very interesting piece on Gaza in the press today, and that's coming from the Washington Post. They have this exclusive article here on the American post-war plan for Gaza. The article says that a plan circulating within the Trump administration includes bringing Gaza under American control for at least 10 years, while it is, quote, transformed into a gleaming tourism resort and high-tech manufacturing and technology hub. The 38-page prospectus plans for a temporary relocation of 2 million people living currently in Gaza, either through voluntary departures or in moving them into controlled zones. Now, the plan is called the Gaza Reconstruction, Economic Acceleration and Transformation Trust, or GREAT Trust. It was developed by the same people who are behind the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, now distributing food inside the enclave. Now, the article goes into more detail about that plan, but it's well worth a read, Stuart.
Let's go to some sports news now, to the world of rugby, in fact, the Women's World Cup. What have you found on this?
Well, France's dominant victory over Brazil is getting quite a lot of headlines. The Bleus destroyed Brazil 84-5 in Exeter, taking their spot in the quarterfinals in the process. But the French dominant victory is not what all the papers are concentrating on. The Brazil side, despite losing, is getting quite a lot of coverage and praise. It's their first appearance in a World Cup ever. It was also their first try during that game. And this article explains that the Yaras, as they're known, did not come to the competition with a lot of ambition in terms of winning, but they're hoping to expose a sport that is slowly gaining popularity at home. Courrier International is also covering their story and their World Cup campaign and the difficulty of popularising rugby in the land of football. Now, Brazil is already one of the leading countries in rugby sevens, in particular in the women's game, and they're hoping that this World Cup might boost their future hopes for rugby union games in the future.
Yeah, good luck to them. Hope it makes a difference. Finally, from Emily, she's going to take us into the Oval Office right inside for a look at the latest interior design fashion. I have a feeling I know what this is going to be like.
Well, I think you could probably guess. It's very, very golden. This is a story in The Guardian here looking at how Trump has changed the Oval Office since taking office. This is a before and after picture here during Trump's latest term and here under Biden. And The Guardian also offer a bit more insight into the tidbits that you can find there, the latest design features, including these very, very golden coasters and all of these lovely ornaments. A bit too shiny for me, but I don't know, it might be the next style.
Yeah, not for me, not for me. I prefer silver anyway. Emily Boyle there with the papers on France 24.